All right, guys, we are back, and let me look what day this is for. So this is for Wednesday, October 7th. And we are going to be talking about characters, character traits, motivations, feelings, and actions. And a lot of this is just kind of like review, but it's things that we'll be talking about all year. So it's kind of the same thing that I've been doing with others. I'm going to watch this along with you and stop and answer questions, and then you'll do the rest of it by yourself. And then for your assignment on Thursday, you'll have a completely independent lesson and practice and quiz to do. So let's go ahead and get started.
Characters are important in stories. They make stories interesting and affect what happens. When describing a character, you might talk about their traits, motivations, feelings, and actions. A character trait is how you would describe a character's personality. Examples of character traits include hardworking, careless, generous, kind, friendly, greedy, loyal, and talkative. And there are lots more.
So like you said, there are obviously a lot more than this. So um, when we read Coco Liso, we talked about Alejandro's character traits, and then we also talked about his relationship with his parents and how that motivated him to make some of the decisions that he made in that story, like how he didn't go and he didn't mess with the crocodile until he talked with his parents because he was motivated by wanting to listen to his parents.
You can spot character traits in a story by looking at what a character says and does. Listen to this short passage about Ricky and Ellen. Ricky and Ellen were playing freeze tag with their friends in the schoolyard. It was summer, and the weather was hot. It would be great if we actually froze when someone tagged us, Ricky laughed. I am so hot. They both lay down in the shade. Hey, look, Ellen pointed. Is that Mr. Jenkins? What's in that box he's carrying? They both shaded their eyes with their hands. I'm going to go help him, said Ellen as she sprinted away. From where he was sitting in the shade, Ricky watched Mr. Jenkins open the box. The teacher pulled out a slice of watermelon. Suddenly, children from all over the yard were sprinting toward him to get their hands on the cool treat. Ellen helped him pass out the fruit. By the time Ricky got there was no watermelon left. Sorry, Ricky, said Mr. Jenkins. I must have miscounted. It's okay, Mr. Jenkins. Ricky forced a smile and pushed his hands down in his pockets. Ellen noticed Ricky dragged his feet as he walked back to his spot in the shade. Hey, Ricky, Ellen shouted. She ran to catch up. You can have mine. Ellen passed him her watermelon slice and smiled. Thanks, Ellen, Ricky grinned. Ellen says, I'm going to go help him, and you can have mine. Ellen also helps pass out the fruit and gives Ricky her watermelon slice. Through her words and her actions, you can see that she is a kind and generous person. These are some traits that describe Ellen.
So we talked about in class, it's not just going to come out and say, Ellen is a kind, generous person. You have to figure that out by the context clues. So here the clues that tell you are, I'm going to go help him. Ellen helped him pass out the fruit. She said she offered some to Ricky. So you have to figure it out by her actions, okay? It's not just going to come out and say, this is Ellen. These are her character traits. So as you get older, it's not going to be so much just in your face and tell you the answer all the time. You have to kind of figure it out on your own. So this one was, I think, pretty easy to figure out what type of person Ellen was.
Character motivation is why a character acts in a certain way. To find a character's motivation, first locate a character's action. Then ask, why did the character do that? Find evidence in the text that supports your thinking. In the passage about Ricky and Ellen, Mr. Jenkins and Ricky both have actions. Mr. Jenkins gives the students watermelon. Ricky accepts Ellen's watermelon slice. By looking at the text, we can find the character motivations. Sometimes the text tells us the motivation directly. Sometimes we need to use what is written in the text and what we already know. Why does Mr. Jenkins give the students watermelon? In the passage, it says, "It was summer, and the weather was hot." We already know that watermelon is a cool treat when you are feeling hot. This evidence shows that Mr. Jenkins gave the students watermelon to help them cool down. This was his motivation. Why does Ricky accept Ellen's watermelon? In the passage, Ricky says, "I am so hot." The passage also tells us that by the time Ricky got there, there was no watermelon left. This evidence shows that Ricky accepts Ellen's watermelon because there was none left for him, and he wants to cool down. This was his motivation. A character's feelings change throughout a story when different actions or events happen. A character's feelings are sometimes named directly in a text, or the author leaves clues about how a character is feeling. To find out how a character is feeling, look for clues in what they say and do. In the passage, Ricky says, "It's okay, Mr. Jenkins," when there is no watermelon left. It sounds like he is being polite and trying to make sure Mr. Jenkins doesn't feel bad. When Ricky walks away, the text tells us Ricky forces a smile, pushes his hands down in his pockets, and drags his feet. What Ricky says and his actions are clues that he is feeling disappointed.
Now, the author did not come out and say Ricky is feeling disappointed, right? So we're using that evidence to figure out how he is feeling.
The final part to understand about characters is how they affect the plot. Ask the questions, what did the character do? And what was the outcome? In the passage, Mr. Jenkins miscounted the watermelon slices. The outcome of this action is that Ricky does not get a slice of watermelon. Ricky drags his feet. The outcome of this action is that Ellen sees that Ricky is disappointed and decides to give him her watermelon slice. The character's actions move the plot forward. When describing a character, start with their character traits. Look for what the character says and does. Then, look at their motivation. Find the character's actions and ask, why did the character do that? Next, what are the character's feelings? Collect the clues by looking for what the character says and does. Finally, ask, how do the characters affect the plot? What did the character do? And what was the outcome?
Okay, so there is a lot, obviously, that we can get from just the characters there, okay? So now that you've watched that lesson with me, on your own, you're going to do this describing characters, okay? So you can skip through the lesson and you're going to do the practice and the quiz, okay? And then tomorrow, all independently for Thursday, you're going to do in character, okay? Or maybe that's for Tuesday. I'm trying to think. Let me go back here. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. So yeah, Thursday you're going to do the in character all independently, and today you'll finish up describing characters, okay? All right, thank you guys so much. Happy Wednesday.